Shit Show. I'm your host, Stacks from Stacks Farmstead, X YouTube and Rumble. I'm going to make this opening quick. We say a prayer before every show. Lord, guide my words tonight. Help us do your will now and forever. Amen. Also, keep Drew in your prayers. He's in the hospital right now with some kind of intestinal problem. So let's keep him in our prayers today. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Uh,
You know, it's funny,
guys,
like our last guest, we just had an episode with Bennis. His co-host can't make it either, ever.
I don't think it's a
I'm
coincidence,
starting to
dude.
think these guys are
Yeah.
lying.
Yeah. I don't know
Like,
about lying. That's a rough word, but I'm just guessing they, don't want to dabble in this situation. And I don't blame them.
no, listen, Drew is a normie for whatever it's worth, like quote unquote, and he's coming around. I'm showing him, if you can imagine the average New Yorker, right? And so he's open to learning this stuff. And that's why I thought this show would be extremely beneficial for him too, because he's also trying to find God. And being in Babylon is not exactly helpful for somebody trying to find God, which is what I describe as New York City. So it's really a bummer that he couldn't be here for this, and I hope he catches it at some point.
so
Um,
what's the main focus of this show then? Because if you're doing a show with a normie, what kind of conversations are you having on here? Let's go. I know you
well,
get David on, which is probably a huge mistake. What are you doing, dude?
no, I love David. We cover everything, anything and everything. So my channel, we focus a lot on the farmsteading stuff and self-sufficiency. But what ultimately happens is that whatever topic we end up touching on, it ends up coming back to farming and self-sufficiency, some way, shape, or form, almost every single time. Without fail to this point, I can't think of a circumstance where I haven't been able to go, maybe that's why you should be self-sufficient. Maybe that's why you should grow your own food. Maybe that's why you shouldn't be dependent on the government and expect them to protect you and provide for you. So, I mean, that's typically why we cover such a wide range of different topics. Anything that's interesting, we do stay on some biblical things every now and then. But I had Crow on, and that was fantastic. And like he started talking about the sun, and I'm like,
Oh, Crow
you know,
777. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Owen Benjamin was on, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know why anybody volunteers to come on this shit show, because that's what we call it. It's a shit show. We not. I'm not good at this. I'm not good at tech. I was inspired by you guys, by Nephilim Death Squad. Whenever you guys started, and David was the one, which is why I have a lot of affection, I guess, for lack of a better word, for David and for Utah, and watching you guys progress from where you came from. It's great. David was the one. My daughter had a heart condition. He
Oh, yeah.
barely knew who I was. He shared her link to help raise some money for her, and he was the one that was saying, start a show. And so I just tried, and you guys are in that category for whatever it's worth of people that's like, I don't know why you agreed to come on, but fantastic you're here.
Well, that's how it starts. It's like just one yes. You never know who's going to give it to you, and then you never know what's going to happen from there. How's your daughter doing? Because I do remember that like whole series that played out. That was a crazy time. David was telling me all about that.
Yeah, yeah. I'll just do a quick recap for everybody's sake. She was born with a heart condition that we knew about before she was born, hypoplastic left heart syndrome. It basically means that half of the heart is gone or undeveloped to the point of not being functional. So at 2 hours old, they have to do open heart surgery on an infant to basically replumb her heart, to make things work properly, so that she can get blood where the blood needs to go. And then that's a temporary fix for a short time. They allow that to develop, and then they go in and do something a little more permanent, which we went through not that long ago. I have to tell you guys, like, one of the number one things is advocating in the hospital for your child is extremely important.
Yeah.
I say that because when she went in, we did everything they asked to do, and until there was things that was like, why I don't see the need. And this was during COVID. They wanted to give her injections. I'm like, no, 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 no. But she is excelling at a level that even the doctors are a little astounded with. We
Wow.
are extremely blessed. I can't put it into words. The other kids that are in her position, how they're still alive, but not flourishing, right? Like, you wouldn't even be able to tell with her.
How old is
And
she?
She just turned 4.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
It's a fun
So
age, too.
it is, and she's like, I tell you the truth, she's like a little me in a way. She's fearless, and she don't care, and she'll tell you what she's thinking. She does not. It's awesome to see them develop. But I said all that because the advocating for them, they wanted to put a feeding tube in. This is just one of the subjects. They wanted to put a feeding tube in, and I was like, well, did you try to feed her yet? And they were like, no. And I was like, well, why would we give her a feeding tube? She came out of the surgery. She's off of the medications. If anything, now is the time to see if she can eat. She's got to be able to eat, to be able to use the muscles on her tongue or throat. Like if she's going to have any resemblance of a normal life, now is the time that you train yourself to do that. And the doctors, they do great work, especially the surgeons. But when you come in with a condition, it's A through X that has to be done. This is the protocol. You have to do them all, or else they have a problem with it, right? Because you are basically an outcome of revenue for them. So if they do everything, they get the maximum amount of revenue. If you don't allow them to do certain procedures, that's taking away from some of that revenue. That might not be the primary cause for these actions of them wanting to do it, but it's definitely part of it. But so when I pushed back on it and I said, why don't we try to feed her? This was a whole ordeal. I'll save you from. They were ready to throw me out of the hospital. It got a little crazy. But because of that, I believe that's part of the reason why she's been able to excel much greater than some of the other kids that were in her position, because she was actually able to eat normal food and not just mush. And some of the kids still have the feeding tube like years later because they weren't able to develop past that. So again, that's just a quick recap that she's crushing right now. I can't be happier about the situation. We're blessed.
Damn, that's incredible, man.
It's powerful.
That's
That's awesome. Yeah, that you did that. That you were like, yeah, I don't care what the system says they should do. Here's what I think you should do.
Yeah, you're gonna
Yes.
get a lot of bullshit from the doctors too. Like, cause they'll look at you like, "What do you know?" It's like, "Well, what the hell do you know?"
Well, imagine if they could be good people. Imagine if somebody walks in the coffee shop and I'm like, yeah, I think you should do a large coffee.
Yeah.
One of these bigger Danishes and maybe get a coffee for the road too. I'm a good person, but like if you're coming to me and saying, okay, whatever you tell me to get, that's what I'm going to get. Ultimately, I'm going to be able to justify in my mind that you should have an extra coffee for the road. You should
Yeah.
have one right
A
now.
double
You should
shot,
have
right?
one later. You should make sure you get something to eat because you don't want to drink coffee on an empty stomach. I mean, just imagine how you could take advantage of that.
Well, Stacks, between me and you, when I came in here, I go, "This is a great coffee shop, but you should put a podcast studio here." Have you
Bingo.
thought about that? And he goes, "Damn, I didn't realize I needed that." I said, "Yeah, dummy."
Well, sometimes suggestions are good. You know what I mean? Sometimes, when they make sense. Uh,
By
That
the
said,
way,
though,
if we could say like a quick keep David in your prayers or whatever, he just I can't catch a break. He's on vacation, so we haven't been doing NDS. He just bought a Jeep, nice car, drove down to Boca. Jeep breaks. It's like it's funny because
Oh, I
it's,
feel terrible. It's kind of funny.
Why are you laughing?
Well, it's not even that. The windshield broke before he even got out of town. It's
the
like,
guy, he can't catch
Oh,
a break,
fuck.
man. Yeah, he went to get his car washed, and the car wash broke his windshield.
I guess. I was like, what?
I know, you know what that is? It's the temperature differential. I had that happen on a brand new Toyota 4Runner before. I pulled in and like it's a super hot day, and then the cold hits it, like the cold water hits it, instantaneously runs a crack up it.
Yeah, because the guy at the car wash was like, we've never had this happen before. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I was figuring it's like the shape of the Jeep because they're kind of tall and they have like that big roller. But yeah, it might be temperature.
Who knows?
I know for sure that was mine. I watched it happen. I'm gonna shit myself because there's nothing about a Toyota 4Runner that's cheap. Not a thing. So when I watched it go, I was like, "Oh, are you kidding me?" Like you just watched it go right up. It was
And
it was
we
sickening.
do know David, in his house, he keeps it notoriously hot. They keep it like I checked it. I'm watching his cats, and his thermostat says jungle. They have it,
It goes right past
they
90,
have it
just a
set to,
jungle.
to Panama or something like that. But yeah, anyway, his windshield goes, and then he drives down with his Jeep, and now he's saying that the car is overheating, and he just brought this thing. I'm like, I'm heartbroken because he just came from an old car that barely worked, and now he's in a new car that
It's like this cool Jeep. He loves it 'cause it's so
Yeah.
cool. And yeah, it's tough.
and you're just like, damn, dude.
He'll
Damn,
get it
so,
fixed, though.
Yeah, he'll be all right. He'll be all right. It's at least it's not his kid, right?
What's your main thing you grow? PA, dude.
Well, we took just let me just it's just easier to explain. We have an orchard. There's apples, peaches. We have about 26, 27 trees, a different variety of them. And it's an ongoing thing because I bought acreage. It's just 3 acres. It's attached to another 40 that we're going to be parceling over time. But it was woods. It was pure woods. There was nothing flat. There was no grass. It was woods, brush, everything you can imagine. A lot of the parts of it you couldn't even walk through. So I bought it 2019 when COVID was going on. I was like, it's game time because I'm watching what's unfolding. I'm like, this is madness. We have to start now. So I bought it and I just went all in. I never even had a chainsaw before I started doing this. This is just what I'm always trying to stress is that like you don't have to be the guy that exactly knows. You can learn your way through this.
Yeah.
You can just jump in and learn your way through it. So I started the process and we just developed this land and went from there. We grow everything I kind of do it like this permaculture instead of agriculture, where I can let the land tell me what it wants. I'm not going to readjust all of the soil to grow a thing that doesn't naturally want to grow there, where I have to do this every single year to keep up on it. So, whatever I can grow, I'll grow. Pumpkins grow great. Watermelon will grow great. Corn, not so much because it's very clay in a way where it is it's on like a mountaintop. So we grow whatever we can. It's a big experiment. We're seeing what happens next. Uh, so orchard, vegetables, we got some goats and a whole bunch of chickens.
You high fence the orchard to keep deer out, or what you do?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a 6-foot fence that goes all the way around it, which isn't cheap. I got my wife a job working at Tractor Supply. This is a tip for anybody out there.
Brilliant.
1 day a week on Sunday. It's like
Brilliant.
6 hours a day on Sunday. There is a discount that she can use so that we can buy anything. And they often give discounts a couple times a year. It can be up to 40% off, where you can just go in and just get, the more expensive thing that you weren't able to typically afford. So because of that, we were able to do a little more than we probably maybe would have been able to pull off as far as finances.
I
Smart.
like that. That's really smart. I was doing that with Best Buy for a long time. I work like
Yeah.
3 hours at Best Buy once a week and then just buy flat screen TV with the employee discount. Not as cool as farmsteading with it, but yeah. It's called Scam That Jew. That's
Yeah, no, real shit. I mean, listen, that for real. I learned that from other farmers. Most of the people that work in there are the wives of somebody that has land and they come in and work a day or two a week.
Brilliant.
Just a thing I didn't even know about. Since you have a hard out, I would really like to try to jump into a couple of things. I think the audience would probably be able to get something from it and myself. So there's a couple of things that I guess this is sort of a personal endeavor. And because I have you guys, I thought I would ask.
no.
I'm
Sorry.
Yeah, this is
That's all right. That's all
Build
right.
up, bro.
Sorry.
I just said no. Preemptive no.
Sorry. No, that's it.
Next
So
question.
these people may see this show and who some of them are top. But it seems like this pagan thing is rearing its head, and some people that I know are becoming more and more active in it. And they had been asking me to participate in a show with them. And I've been a little bit apprehensive about continuing to do it. But I'm also very intuitive. I'd like to learn this stuff. Only because it sort of intrigues me that some of the stuff that they make claims, because it draws some parallels from the Bible as well, because I am a Christian. That's not going to change. But it's just like you get that inkling where it's like, should I really be doing this? I would just ask, if you find yourself in that position, fairly certain I know what the answer would be from you. What would you do? What would you say about something like that? Somebody says, we're going to be going over occultic things. We're going to be touching on some pagan topics, old books that are about these things. Would you be involved with that?
I have been, right? I mean, I assume we're talking about Jules from
Yeah,
Great Pill Podcast. What's up, Jules? I like Jules.
I love Jules.
And
I
he got a
love
great
Jules.
family. He's got I think he's a talented podcaster too. Um, would I do that? I would have Jules back on. Yeah, and we have. I mean, if you're familiar with NDS, we have discovered a lot of these occulted topics. We've discovered, we've went through a lot of different like books. We don't go too deep into the nuts and bolts of how they're doing it because I am personally not interested in opening that door. Although looking back, I think even looking into these things in a way, you're opening the door. So the question is going to be for you, how convicted are you in your belief in Jesus Christ and the gospel and the Bible, even with everything that's going around right now? Like, there's a lot of weird Jewish stuff going around that wants to push you away from the Bible. I think Owen
Yeah.
Benjamin's even kind of like touching on that a little bit right now, where he's flirting with the idea of the demiurge by talking about the Old Testament God and David, or what he's been describing lately. And I think that's a trap. I think people should investigate it though. You should look into it because you're going to look into it either way. Someone's going to tell you about it, or it's going to come up, and you're going to get caught with your pants down. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I will say, I think doing business with somebody like that, like somebody that, because last I saw of Jules, he had, I think it's like a Norse rune behind him that it looks like he built. And I was like, oh, you're taking this serious if you're like doing symbology, not just symbology on a shirt or even a tattoo is kind of like lower. It's like, no, you built something and you put this in your house, like where your kids walk by. That's very serious. So doing like monetary business and cleaving yourself to somebody that is doing that is not a wise idea. Talking to them, we're supposed to talk to these people, right, Matt?
I talk to everybody, bro. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. But I think you're right. Like, if you don't think it's dangerous, just ask Solomon about it. He was just trying to bang some honeys from like other countries and stuff. They start dabbling in some of this foreign god stuff, other god stuff, and boom, he's sucked in. A guy who you would think there's no way he's getting sucked in.
Yeah.
Sort of what I mean.
But I don't know the guy you're talking about, but I know you speak highly of him and you say he's a good dude and stuff. And so there's probably people that just need to go down that path for a while, and you just pray that God, pulls them out of it.
I don't know. I don't know what happened. But what I do know is that stuff works, right? And I think Jules will tell you, or anybody who's dabbled in it, and be like, yeah, this stuff works. But so will Solomon. But are they going to tell you about the afterward after you've gotten these like short-term gains? Then what happens? What about your eternal soul? What about your eternal soul in your physical body? That now you have to pay a price to whatever you just made a deal with. That stuff, that's legit too. So I don't know, man. I don't know. And would I have him on the show? Would I talk with him I would. NDS is kind of obviously like what I'm doing with Straight Bible and the way NDS is kind of moved, and we've shifted our focus at God, at this one thing. And we've already parsed through the occult knowledge and a lot of this other esoteric stuff, and I see what it is, and there's validity to it. And we still like talk about it. Having somebody on to talk about it and tell us things that we already know, maybe not so attractive to us anymore, or to even say, I don't know, like realistically, let's say the episode that we did with Jules a while ago, where we were talking about Labubus, or we're talking about the mother of monsters, Pazuzu, and how this relates and all this stuff. Very interesting. Very interesting stuff. But the word for it is minutia. It's like these small details along the edges of this much bigger picture. And I've laid my hands on the bigger picture of things, and it's kind of hard for me to then look at like, oh yeah, look at what this minor low-level demon has done with a kid's toy. I'm like, yeah, it's interesting. It's fascinating. I think that that's something that you could use to talk to other people who don't really get it. But for where I'm at in my walk, I'm like, cool. I don't know if I'm interested in that topic. Maybe another subject that comes up. I'm open to hearing what it's about. We did get an opportunity to interview one of the other guys you're talking about IRL. And I'll just be honest, I ignored the message because I don't think things through mathematically or in a calculated manner about like, well, will this do good with views? Certainly. Will my audience like this? Yeah, for sure. If something in my heart says no, or like I get like a weird feeling about it, I just don't do it. And I got a message and it was like an IRL thing. It was like something said, don't do that. And I was like, all right, cool. So I'm doing something else. But I had thought about it, and I think the reason why something inside of me said, don't do that, is because I'm drawing closer to God. And then I'm going to invite somebody physically in my space, which I've done before. I mean, I'm sure you've heard about the whole thing, you know, the debacle at my house and like that, what happened with my family and witchcraft and all this shit. So like I'm familiar with what it is when I invite something in and what I've invited in. I also know that I have power to stop attacks. But why invite an attack? You know, like especially considering the information, like I'm going to get, what information am I going to get? What are you going to tell me about? A black hole? What are you going to tell me about? A Norse deity that shares a similarity to, okay, great. It cost me $20,000 to fix my wife's ailment. What am I doing here? You know what I mean? Like that's like, we're talking dollars and cents here. That's just real easy decision to make. Not just money, but like the hardship, the time that it took, like the stress, the years off of my life, most likely that it's taken. Yeah, sure. I don't necessarily invite those things. This is an argument that I had with David. I don't know if you knew this. It's like how he got introduced to Pastor Rick. How Pastor Rick got introduced to us. You ever heard this story?
I don't think so.
It was the whole deal with Clint and the witchcraft story.
I knew that you guys had talked to him and asked him for advice about that situation, but I didn't know that was like the introduction to him was because you were going to his church. You guys were like, well, let's go talk to him and ask him.
Buckle up, faggot. We weren't even going to the to his church. My parents were going to his church, and I had went like a couple of times just to see because my kids go there. So I was like, let me see what's up, and yeah, right away I saw the guy and I was like, oh, it seems legit. It seems kind of legit, and we were like, we're having this disagreement of, should I go and talk to Clint about this whole thing that just fell apart fantastically? And then I start to have suspicions that maybe witchcraft is involved because somebody told me witchcraft is involved, and then witchcraft happened. And I kind of had like this disagree. It's never a fallout with David, but I'm like, I disagree, dude. And also, if you go over there to Clint and let's say worst case scenario, you get an attachment, something. I don't know. And he's like, nah, man, we got the Spirit of God on our side. I was like, yeah, sure. That like, okay. I don't know for sure though. I don't know your heart. He's a good dude, but who knows? Like, you know, shit sneaks in. And I'm like, conservatively, don't do that. Don't associate with that because, you know, you're doing a good deed for somebody and you think you're supposed to do it. He's like, oh, Clint was right next to me and I was driving a car and I looked over and it's an omen and I should go see him. And I was like, yeah, that all sounds great, but you're also putting me at risk. So consider that. And I've already paid the price. I've already went through this shit with the same guy. If my assumptions were correct, if 1 + 1 = 2, and so we spoke with Pastor Rick. His episode airs today at 5:30 on Straight Bible.
He's a real one, bro. He's like the realest in the 501c3 system.
Poor Pastor Rick, though.
Why?
Because I just texted him like, hey, man, you don't know me, but you know my dad, and having an issue. Can I come and
that's
talk
what
to
he's
you
there
about
for,
it?
man.
And I show up with this gay dude. And we walk into Pastor Rick's office, and we're like, he must have thought, number one, he probably thought we were gay because like we're both sitting next to him, and we're like, we have an issue, and it's like,
oh, geez, he probably did, dude.
Who knows? It's like it's a bizarre circumstance. It's like, what do you mean you have an issue? It's like, well, this is like my business partner, this is my friend,
And
then we explain the whole story, and I think he got it, but like that's his introduction to us.
Stack. So what are you thinking? You're starting to dabble in some witchcraft and stuff, or what's going on, man?
Fuck no, that's a hard no. There's a reason for this. I'll try to keep it quick and simple, but I started to explain to you guys about whenever I was younger. The easiest way for me to put this is that my first half of my life was so dark that I've seen it. I've seen the dark. I've seen the evil. I know what evil people are capable of. I have seen it with my own eyes. Not to the extent that it was satanic, but what people will do when all that they are focused on is themselves. And there's just been this thing, and like what Top was saying, it's just like irking at me just a little bit, where it's like maybe I shouldn't be engaging in this. And again,
Bro,
I
that's
just kind of,
a choice, man.
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
I don't
just
need an angel
kind of weird.
window and break the glass and go, "Thus saith the Lord." Like, you don't need that, bro.
Well,
Like that.
hold on. I'm going to ask you a question, but before I do, I'm just going to take over your show. I'm cutting the stream to NDS. If you guys want to watch the rest of this, go to what's the name of your show on YouTube? Where could they go right
Stacks Farmstead on YouTube and Rumble, either one.
now? Okay, go over there because it's not here anymore. See you later. So that feeling that you get, do you think because this is an important thing. If you haven't discerned where is it coming from, is it like a societal pressure? Is it, do you think like what do people think of me, or is it literally something in you that you don't feel is external at all?
I know you don't know me that well, so I'll just say, like, I couldn't care less what people think about me. I've seen enough, I've been through enough. That I know the path that I try to walk now is the best that I can do. I'm always trying to do the best that I can. I don't care what anybody else thinks. If I try to explain, like, I have family members I try to explain this to. I have old friends from the city that I try to explain this to, and they just think you're crazy, right? Why would you move to the middle of nowhere and buy land, farm, self-sufficiency, try to find God, be a Christian, try to be a legit Christian, not the one that just goes to the church on Sunday and then is a piece of shit, the other besides that hour of the week, right? I try to do the best I can because of how bad that it was. I don't care what anybody else ever thinks. I get these inklings from time to time. It's sort of like a nudge, a push, where it's like, maybe you shouldn't, maybe you should, that type of thing. And when it's serious, it starts to become more inherent, where it's like that little inkling comes up a little more. That thought pops into my head a little bit more. And for some reason, when you agreed to come on, it just started to be like, ask them. And so I thought I would throw it out there, because the only thing that I don't want to come of this is for especially Jules to be upset that we're even talking about it. But I mean, it's just one of those things I can't really explain. It was just something I felt like I had to bring up. I don't really know how else to put it. And my thought is exactly, I think, where you were at, where it's like, are you sure you're not opening a door by participating? Are you sure? Because I don't want that. I don't need that, because I know exactly what you mean about the stuff that can happen. I've seen things in my life that, trust me, I know there's good and evil. So I don't want to find myself, stepping into a place that knowingly I knew I shouldn't have, and then suffer those consequences.
Yeah, even because regardless of the person or the situation or whatever, you get this inkling, if you will, from God. Like you got to obey that, dude. You can only like go against that so many times and watch your life kind of self-destruct until you realize, like, oh, I better start paying attention to that inclination.
Yeah. Also, what do you plan on doing with it? Like, I think that's an important question too. You're gonna go there and I don't know. We've gone to places and said, you see what we say. Like, it's kind of crazy, but then in the end we're pointing back to God, and I don't care what these people like. We're doing it with Sam Tripoli. Like, that last episode we did with him, it should be out soon. That one, for, I don't know, the first 30 minutes, it was like comedy, fun. And then the last hour and a half maybe was just like hard hitting God stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
whether he's comfortable with it or not, I don't give a shit. Like, that's what we're doing,
The problem that I see most is that people don't take it seriously enough, because they haven't seen how bad it can actually get for most people. Like, they don't recognize the signs. They don't see the problems. Like, when I look around, I see a lot of different things that I point to. I say this at times where it's like television commercials, TV shows. It's just pure satanic bullshit. And, I can see that other people don't see it. Like, I'm like the guy in the meme. He's pointing because it's on the TV. He's pointing something out. Leonardo DiCaprio, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pointing at it and I'm going, see, that's satanic bullshit. But other people don't see it. They don't see the symbolism. They don't see the connection because they're not engrossed enough in anything other than the materialistic world that we're in. And I don't know how to put this, but I see it. I think for one reason or another more vividly than I think some other people can. And even that when it jumps out to me, it's like most people don't get it. Basically, is what I'm saying is that most people don't get the situation. Most people don't understand how serious it is, and that how serious the consequences can be, and not even being able to recognize that when the consequences come, where they came from, right? Like, like that, because that's the other thing. It's like, why is all this bad shit happen to me? I must be a victim of something. I must be a victim of the world. Why would God, I hear this often and it drives me crazy. Why would God allow this if God is good? And I'm like, did you think about what you might have done? And that's where I'm at, where it's kind of like, I don't really know where to put it other than it feels like it's a bad step, even though in the same breath, it's like I could see anybody else looking at it and saying, what do you mean that's nothing? So, I mean, I don't know. For whatever it's worth, I didn't want to. I felt like I had to ask you that for whatever it's worth. I don't know why. I don't really know. It's probably
Well,
not the greatest content, but I mean,
no, it's been on
I
my
just felt
mind.
like I had to.
It's been on my mind with Jules too, because like a lot of people send me a lot of like his episodes and stuff, and I see some of it. Like I know he's I guess the correct word is denounce Christianity for whatever new thing that he's proclaiming or believing, and I'm just like, yeah, I find that kind of sad, because I don't. It's sad for a number of reasons for me. I wonder how he feels about it. I wonder if you like went to him with concern, with your concern about like, hey, I know I've been invited to do a thing, but I got like these concerns, and this is where I'm at. I don't want to offend you, and I don't want to push you away any further. Like offend is a gay word, but like I don't want to push you into where you're going any further by being by acting how I'm acting, but I'm just gonna be honest and be like, yo, this is kind of how I'm feeling. Like, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, do you understand where I'm coming from? Because he's
Yes.
a good dude. So yeah, I don't know. It's a personal relationship that's now dabbling in.
Well, and again, we're on the internet now doing a show that everybody can see, and
Yeah,
Jules is going to probably find out about this, which is another bad part because it's like
great.
I don't want it to be uh I don't want it to be a thing where it's like why didn't you just say something, I don't I again, I don't know where to put this. It was something I had to say. I don't really know how else to put that. I don't It's not something I really like thought all the way out. It was just like say it. So I did.
Yeah,
Um
I've been thinking about it a lot too. Jules is not thinking
I
about you,
love Jules.
but
It's
not
my
in a
dude.
gay way. Well, maybe in a little bit of a gay way, but not in a gay way. Thinking about you a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a little bit similar to that subject is, the show you guys run, Nephilim Death Squad. I had a conversation with a boomer uncle not too long ago. He may or may not see this. So he started to bring up things about how the world and where evil comes from. We were just having a conversation in the woods, and when I brought to him the idea of Nephilim, he had never heard of it before. He didn't even like it was like a different language whenever I brought it up. Have you ever run across that where you're speaking to somebody that says that they're like Christian, they kind of read the Bible, but they have no idea of the context of even what Nephilim is?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, is that a Pennsylvania Catholic guy?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think Pennsylvania Catholic people get down with the Nephilim, bro. Like that's my whole family's Pennsylvania Catholic too. They don't get down with the aliens thing. They don't get down with the Nephilim.
The well
They
dude,
don't.
shout out Weld.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, that's my cousin's kid. So that's like the next generation that didn't grow up in the boonies of PA.
Yeah.
Like they're gone, but like my generation of cousins and stuff that lived in the boonies of PA, it's all Catholic, bro. They're all Catholic. There's statues of Mary everywhere. And they're like some of the best people you'll ever meet, dude. They're like incredibly diligent, hardworking, honest, genuine, caring about others people with a genuine sense of duty to their fellow man. Some of the best people. Like my family from PA is like the best people, dude. But they're raised in that Catholic system. And yeah, they definitely don't get down with Nephilim, bro. They don't. I mean, a lot of I can't speak for all Catholics, but a lot of Catholics don't just read a Bible at home either. They're not just like chilling and opening a Bible and reading it and having any kind of interaction or engagement with the Word of God. Not to say that like when they go to a so-called mass, the Bible isn't read. I'm not saying that. I get it that it is, but they're not doing that one-on-one time in the Scripture anyway. And so if the priest isn't bringing up Nephilim, how would they ever even hear about it? But there's a lot of people that are so-called Protestant that are not Catholic that never got down with the Nephilim too.
Right. Right. I mean, and that's sort of I guess that's part of what the question would be, is because I don't know where, you tell them what the Bible says, where the references come from, and you get an AI screenshot that the Nephilim aren't real and didn't exist and they're not biblical. Okay, I don't know where to even put that. So that's why I was asking. Like, I don't know how you broach the topic of it, considering you guys would probably, or at least Top and David would probably be the ones that would know so much about it, and like, why isn't it more well known if it is part of the Bible? If it is part of the stories of the Bible, if it should be, it's in something. How do I put this?
Because it's too weird, bro. No, I see what you're saying.
I guess you're right. In the way that it is weird, but to never hear of it.
Yeah,
right.
The guys in the pulpit who people look at as like the doctor, they look at as like that's the professional. Just like if you go give your money to a guy who's a financial advisor or whatever, you're like, this dude's the professional. He went through some kind of cemetery school that like, did they want to bring up that reality is based on the unseen realm?
No.
Coming down here, breeding with women, like that just sounds like crazy town to people. They're like, don't touch that. Let's not touch that. So of course it's never getting said to people. And that's why we're always like, the whole point of Straight Bible is like trying to get people to read a Bible for themselves. Like whatever conclusion you come to, right on, but just you get in the Word of God, trust that the Holy Spirit, who is the author, is going to guide you through this book, and you start getting some understanding. Like, don't just go into the eternal realm hoping that the professional gave you the right counsel, and then now you and your children are at stake based on like hoping some dude gave you the right counsel, and you're not going to read it for yourself. I guarantee you, if you got a rich uncle, rich great grandpa or whatever that left you a will that was this big, like say he left a will that big and he's rich, you're going to go through that thing with a magnifying glass, dude, to find out what belongs to you, because it has to do with money. You're not going to go through a Bible and check out like what's the story of reality. Like, come on, you got to. You got to go through the Word of God to find out what is the story of reality, and don't let men just tell you what it is. Whether it's me or Top or Stacks Farmstead, don't let anybody tell you what the Bible says. Go read it.
Well, I mean, but with the Nephilim specifically, some Bibles don't even say that. I mean, most Bibles don't say that name. You're going to have to go to an interlinear translation to find out what that is, and then you're going to have to go from there to find out where else is it referenced, and then what did they actually mean. So there's like layers of information that you're going to have to go through to get to this understanding. I think luckily in this day and age, there's a lot of good people talking about this. And even previously, like you knew about this without the internet, because you knew you had L.A. Marzulli in the back. You have my guy, Timothy Alberino.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of these guys. Steve Quayle, you have his book. So you're familiar with the idea, but we're going to be presented with that idea. Then it's up to you to research and verify and see if it's really in there. And it is really in there.
But that was totally off limits 15 years ago. Like it's like that whole concept was totally off limits. There was nobody in like the church lobby talking about that. Like it was completely off limits, but yet it looked like that's what the scripture said. In the King James, it says giants.
Well, it's
so
up
you're
to
like, wait, what giants? What?
I think what we do good. I think what I do good.
Yeah,
on the
you
show,
do good.
Not you.
No, you do. You both do. For real.
And
I'm not on the show.
I'll
I
be
got
honest.
kicked off. So go ahead.
So David's a great he's a great narrator and information bringer. I've sat front row seat to watch him talk to normal people about these ideas, and it's like, man, it's like a bull in a china shop. He's not the tool for it. There are techniques that you can use, and I think I got lucky because I came through like the comedy political sphere, so I'm like in a way like what Owen Benjamin does, but like a much crappier version, where I'm telling like a hard truth in a sneaky way. It's I guess it's manipulation, it's sales, but again, like you said, it's a loaded word. Don't point at me when I say manipulation.
You use sales techniques. I see you.
Okay, but it is. When you're talking to somebody, I can't just be like, I can't go to the back there and be like, dude, there were giants on the earth before the flood and after, and they were eating babies and people an angel's screwed woman.
But I
And then
guess,
see you later and leave.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
yeah.
gonna go over with people.
and I guess you get to a point where it's just like, I hope this isn't bad. I really hope this isn't bad. I'm just kind of getting to the point with a lot of things. I'm just like, I don't care.
How much of that are we supposed to know is
If
a
you-
great question.
Well, not only that, I think people should know it, but I don't particularly care to argue with people and to like, do something where it's like, I'm right, you're wrong. You need to hear my view.
No,
I'm kind of really
you
at the
can't
point
argue.
on like all of the topics. I hate to say it like this, but I'm like, I don't care.
You can't argue, but use comedy as a tool. Because people are going to want to argue and then you diffuse them with comedy. Then you be serious. And then you come back with something funny.
And
Then you're serious again. And then it's very hard for them to regulate. And in a sense, you're controlling it's manipulation, it's technique. You're controlling the conversation and how that conversation is going to go. But I think I never do it with, if you look through my Twitter, not ever, not once have I said, you need to buy my shirt and here's why. And this is my business. This is how I make money. I'm never going to go out there and be like, yeah, oh, you have no idea. This design is like no other and you should wear this because you'll get so many girls. And no.
there's another way too, though, is all I'm saying. You live your life. Like, I don't want to argue with you. If you don't want to hear it from me, it's no problem. It's no
Sure.
problem. Who am I to say I'm right, you're wrong anyway? But if I live my life in such a way where you come ask me like, hey, dude, what's going on?
Well, he did. He's saying that his uncle asked him, what's up with all the evil in the world? So, okay, so he's got the question now. So now the door's open. I'm not just going to somebody who doesn't care. And I would never do that. Like in here, how many people have I spoken to about these topics that like, I'm not just going to approach somebody and be like, yeah, let me tell you everything. They'll ask me about the show. They'll see, they're like, hey, what's that about? there's a
Yeah, great.
And I'm like, well, the show's called Nephilim Death Squad. And they go, what's that mean? And I go, we deal with comedy and Christianity through a biblical modern lens.
Or they'll say Nephilim are bad and you shouldn't be promoting that. We get that a lot too.
Yeah, and I
then
go-
we try to explain it to people. They can't hear it. No
Never try
problem.
to explain
Good luck
it.
with everything.
No, you never explain the troll to anybody. I tell them, okay, cool, whatever.
So
And
so the uncle asks, you elaborate to him on what it is, and then
Yeah.
you just let it ride.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I'm not going to push it. Like, like I said, I get an AI generated shot a day later from ChatGPT saying that the Nephilim aren't real and whatever. So I mean, like, I'm not going to it's not my place to push it.
Dog, now imagine spending 3 hours talking to some guy from fucking Italy or wherever, and then you get not an AI generated picture, but you
That
get
was great.
him talking to an AI for 6 more hours and then saying, this is why you're wrong. It's the same shit. And it's like, I understand the frustration. I don't even know. I misread at the time. I thought he was perceptive to what we were saying. So we're like, we'll keep going. But there's also an audience. You're in the woods with your uncle. I think you got to be more delicate with the process. Number one, no offense to Uncle Boomer, you're probably smarter than him. You're going to have to outsmart him in a way to get his brain to think about what you're actually saying. Not because these topics are crazy. And to somebody that's coming with you with already preconceived notions, you're not going to bust through 50 years of those. But you can put like a little seed somewhere and then come back to it later.
Yeah, we don't have to plant,
Yes. Yes.
fertilize, water, and harvest in an hour.
Just be patient. Be patient.
Yeah.
And sometimes that seed, like I'll do it all the time, and I'll make it like if it's like friends and family at a party. Like you were at the party recently, and maybe I'll just go up to
boy.
somebody
Here
and
we go.
I'll say some crazy shit.
Yeah.
But it'll be funny, but it'll be crazy.
And offensive.
And offensive. And
Yes.
they'll go, oh, all of their sensibilities are now shattered. And I go, perfect. Because that means you're offended. So now like you don't know, your guard is down. You don't know where to put me. Do I laugh? Do I take him serious? You know what Christina's uncle says about me? All the time. Because that's how I deal with him. He goes,
I want to know.
when I say some crazy shit, he goes, is he serious? He asked the rest of it, is he serious? And I go, maybe. Fucking maybe. You figure it out. Think about it, stupid. What I've been saying, though, for years to these people, it's bore out to be true. And then I decided to do it in front of a microphone. And I think that, like, the audience that me and David have now is testament to, like, yeah, this makes sense. But I say it to family, and sometimes I'll just go, you know what? I think you need extra crazy. And then maybe somebody go, you need an approach a little bit more drawn back. And a lot of times I've missed. So like there's been a lot of refinement with, if you followed me for the last 7 years on how I deal with people on Twitter alone, There's been
Right.
a lot of refinement on what I used to do and what I do
This
now.
is the refined state.
This is a diamond. What you
Whoa.
saw before
Yeah.
was wild.
Yeah, and also, family is the hardest to deal with. For what I'm not.
Well, I mean, look here, just for whatever it's worth. First of all, we got your hat on
There it is.
today.
Let's
So
go.
And let me tell
buy
you,
those
you
hats,
get that hat.
toplobster.com.
So,
And just to paint a picture, it's like, like you said, we're in the woods. He's trying to have a conversation about,
turkey hunting.
God.
Just like, what were you guys doing?
actually I was helping him. He has some property, and I was helping him put fence posts in.
Solid.
Yeah, for a gate. He's a little bit older. He's a little bit banged up. So whenever he needs help, I got a cement mixer. So I took it up there and mixed it up so he could set posts in for the gate.
Solid.
But I mean, like what Top was touching on is the idea that planting the seed, which was sort of what I had hoped for, because just to see if he would at least look, when he went and did the screenshot, he was looking for it, right? So like I told him a thing, and then he went and looked for it. Now whether or not it was the right answer or whatever, it inspired him at the very least to go look at it,
Yeah.
which is the best that I could be hoping for in that moment. But I'm just hoping it doesn't die on the vine there, because then that means that, maybe it will open up other avenues of him looking into other things. Because like you said, there's especially Western Pennsylvania, Roman Catholic religion, that all the answers come from the priest, nobody else. Like whatever the priest says, that's the way that it is. And if it doesn't say that, if the priest doesn't point them to scripture to justify what they just said, then it isn't real. So it's kind of like sort of chipping away at that a little bit, where it's like, hey, have you considered that there's things that you may not know, right? Like that there's other facets, because you asked me. So I'm giving, because I've said to him originally, I was like, look, you sure you want to know the answer? Because you're probably going to think I'm crazy. I don't doubt you for
Probably
thinking that I might be
mad.
crazy. You know what I mean? So I'll tell you if you want to know. So I did tell him. And then because I tried to explain, it's like, it answers stuff that was previously unanswerable. Who are the satanic people? Who are all these different names and deities? Who are they praying to? Why are they doing this? Why the child sacrifice? Like the government's ran by these pedo satanic fucks. Like who are they doing these things for? Do you think it's just like this Satan entity, or do you think that there's anything else to it? You know what I mean? So it answers some of those questions in that way too, where it's like, this is such a big topic that I'm trying to, in my head, figure out a way to condense it so we don't, because I know you guys are on a time limit, but like it answers questions to things that might have just been assumptions about what that means. The evil entities, what they mean, where they come from. Again, I've seen things myself that, they're sort of like, I don't really, as time goes on and you research and you hear other people's stories, and do not, like, I know you're being humble, Top. You guys are doing a really good thing just putting this stuff out there. Don't let anybody take that from you. Don't take it from yourself. Don't let Matt give you the weird looks, and don't let it, like, you guys are doing a really good thing. There's a, like I said in the chat in the past, 2 or more gathered in my name. So there's people like myself where I can't find a church that would even come close to a place that I would consider going to, because it gets everything from rainbow flags to Israel flags and everything in between. And so like when I can at the very least listen, like I do a lot, about people talking about some of these things, it's a way for people like myself to find a place that isn't, if there's no fit anywhere else. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, I know that like you're running a podcast, and like it's a business for you, and like you come out and you do. Yeah, I don't know that how much some of the stuff that you might do, especially on the Straight Bible, how it can impact some people that actually can't find that anywhere else.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that, don't underestimate your abilities, because you have a huge following. There's people that are listening. There's people that, they take some of the words that they learned from listening to this, and they apply it to their lives. That's a big deal. So for whatever it's worth, I just wanted to make sure you guys knew that like, as simple, I do the same thing. It's like I'm just talking to a screen right now. There's people listening. There's people listening that may take the words that we're saying and apply them somehow to their lives. And that can be a big deal. So for whatever it's worth, I just wanted to make sure I said those words to you because like I said before, just little stuff like even when David was willing to come on and even give a shit about a person that he never met before, like me and my daughter. I don't think that there's enough merit put into what that on an individual basis is. So don't cut yourself short, guys. You're doing really good things here, and don't forget that. Um,
We appreciate that. But yeah, something I think about too. You never, like, when you start a thing, you don't know what it's going to become. So whatever you're doing at the time, you don't know how that's going to influence people. And yeah, I've seen that in a way. Oh, there's Panda. Actually, she's somebody that I'm kind of thinking about on the previous episode of the Q&A, where she was saying that she's feeling kind of depressed looking into some of these subjects that specifically we'd cover on NDS. And then I have to go back and do inventory and go, okay, what did I say? What did David say? Because now that's my responsibility. What did I say? What did David say? And then the guests that we were talking to, what did they bring? And did we flavor this with enough comedy? Did we take the shit out of it enough for people to, like, it's a serious topic, but I don't want you to go home and be depressed and like spiral thinking. Like the one person, I guess we're just naming names on this episode, William Ramsey. He's like one of the best researchers. We had him on, and he's the one person that at the end we asked him if he's having fun, and he was just like, he almost told us to like go fuck ourselves.
Because you asked if he was having fun?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
He's like, this is not fun?
He's like, we just covered the smiley face killers. Like, what do you mean, am I having fun? I was like, I get it. I understand. You're not dead, though. Are you having fun? And
wait, so he just did some super deep dive depressing thing. You're like, hey, you having fun? He was like, F you.
Yeah, and then he goes, well, are you having fun? Like what we just talked about. Are you having fun? And,
Yeah,
and I was
that's
like, dog.
wild, man.
Like we were wearing our Hawaiian shirts, our
Yeah.
NDS Hawaiian shirts, and I was like, hell yeah, look at my shirt. I'm having fun. He did not like that. He hasn't spoken to us since. But that's fine. And if that, like, the audience that he's going to draw, they're going to get really good information, but they're going to be sad.
Well, that's why all these things come back to looking at Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, man. Like, just continuing to look at Jesus. And that's where these passages come from, where he says, if your eye is single, your whole body's full of light. Mm-hmm. And then he says, if your eye is evil, your whole body's full of darkness. You'd think if he said single, maybe he'd say double. But he says single, and then the opposite of single is evil. It's like, keep your eye on Christ, dude. Stay focused on him. That's why he says these passages like, as Moses lifted the serpent in the wilderness, so shall the Son of Man be lifted up. And when they looked at that, when Moses lifted the serpent in the wilderness, those people were saved as they were looking at it. And it does matter what you're looking at. If you look at, that's why they even say like the psychologists have to go see a psychologist at some point. Like you can only hear people's stories or police officers. Just go down the line of people who struggle in life. Like as what your spirit's taking in over and over and over, like that's what you're gonna get, dude. Whatever you sow, that is what you'll reap. And so you do have to be careful getting into these dark topics and how much you're going to have it. Not to say you run for the hills if somebody comes in and orders a mocha and they want to talk about the occult. It's like, sure, I'll entertain you for a minute or two while I make your mocha, but I'm not sticking around for a long time to get into this stuff with you. I don't necessarily need to go into the darkness. I'm going to stay focused on Christ.
And it's also what I've done and what I've been doing. So I don't, if you've been following since, like older comedy days and stuff where I'm making off-color jokes. I mean, not off-color, like mostly about black people, but they're hilarious.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the problem with it. I am doing this thing, and I still am. At the time, I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. I'm not going to church, and I'm not seeking a relationship. But like in my heart, I don't have this chaos. Although I'm not like searching God, but I'm doing a thing that is in a weird gray area, and it's fine. And I try to like keep it light, and we try to like still have like a decent, message for people. It's like look what I'm a dad, I'm a husband, you know, don't be a piece of crap, but like here's some comedy. Well, it's funny. It comes back to Jules. This is the last time I spoke with him after a show that we did with him, with Paranoid American. We were talking about some people in the space, people that are fans of the show and people that I know and like are friends now. I like them, and they started doing comedy shows and stuff like that because of me. Yeah, because of me. Some of their shows are named after shit that I said, and I watch it and they're funny, but like as I'm like moving away from it, and it sounds hypocritical of me, right? Because like I'm like, oh, I said that. I said nigger a bunch of times. Look at me, ha ha ha. It's hilarious when I do it, right? But then as I'm moving away from it, I look back and they're doing it, and I'm like, oh man, like they're doing a version of what I did, and like I got to look at it now, and I go, oh, like I hope when I did it, it was like, did it cut? You know, was it funny? Did I time it right? Or is it, because sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's just cringe. Like if you listen to Toad drop a racial slur, 1 out of 10 times it's placed correctly. The other times it just sounds like you go, oh, like a car crash, you know? There's a way to do it. There's a way to do it. And you
delivery.
There's delivery, and I'm not great at it, but it has its place. And sometimes I hit it, sometimes I don't. And I was explaining that, and I'm like, man, and some of those guys were mad at me because they're like, I'm not doing that anymore. You know?
Well, I mean, here, let me just add this real quick. So, I think you're right, and I can see exactly what you mean. Firstly, like just for me, as I'm reading through and trying to apply the scriptures and advocate, like I'm searching for God and I'm telling people about, you know, me doing it whenever they come to me with issues. But we all evolve. I know I do. The changes that happen, it's like being in the gym. You know, you're going to get stronger. Things are going to change. You're going to work on other things. And that's just, spiritually for me, it's the same way. So in the beginning, when I first started trying to walk this path, there was, and people disagree on how many times it's said, but it's quoted at 365 times in the Bible. It says, do not be afraid in some way, shape, or form. So when the world, especially during COVID, was coming at us so crazy, it would be real easy to be afraid. And I fell back on that. Do not be afraid constantly. And I still do it now today. But there's an evolution there where it's more than that now. I'm learning more. And I'm able to share some stuff with people more, right? So, I mean, even for yourself and everybody else, I would imagine, especially, you know, in the spiritual gym, that, you know, where you start is not where you're going to be over an amount of time if you stay on the path. So, you know, just because you were there and you might find it cringy now, I know I do the same thing where it's like, you know, I try to explain something to somebody maybe a year ago, and I find myself thinking about that particular subject differently. And I wish I could grab that person now if I seen them and say, hey, look, I kind of refined this, right? You know what I mean? Like I got a different view on what I told you before. So I get where you're at, man. I get it. But I mean, I just fall back on the idea that we're growing. We're growing spiritually, and things are going to change as that's happening. So the past got you to where you are, and, you know, just keep moving forward. For me, that's what I keep looking at, is that, again, my childhood, I shouldn't be alive. Numerous circumstances where I should have died. No doubt about it. I don't know why I'm still here, but I think in part it's because I'm supposed to be walking this path. I think it's part of it. Even with the land, there's something about me working there and doing that I feel like I'm supposed to. I don't know if Matt gets that whenever he's on his land too, but like when you're there tilling the soil and you're there doing the work and things are growing and life is coming from what you're doing. There's something spiritually there too. It's like I feel like it's just part of the process, and as time goes on, that's going to change as we expand.
Do you think your trees love you?
Yeah.
I don't tree hug, but I would. I would if they start producing more fruit. Like, I mean, I go up and I check on the orchard as often as I can to see, you know, is there a fungus? Is there bugs eating them? I care for them. I don't hug them, but I mean, they're beneficial. They have the ability to sustain life. They're important.
No. Do you think they love you? Not do you love them? Do you think they love you?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that I have ever seen that. I've never seen them perk up when I got there. But I think it might be possible, because listen, there's also the theory that like they have like a nervous system. The trees actually have like plants have a nervous system. Their roots, they're allegedly there's ways for them I've read articles about this where if you limb them, especially at the wrong time, that there's ways that they can measure that there's like a panic that puts out. I don't know if you've ever heard of this before, but like that the roots of their nervous system, they kind of talk to each other through the nervous systems. What their ability to care about, I wouldn't know. But I do know there's things in this world that we don't truly understand all of it about. A tree may not just be a tree.
Well, the pruning process that does the shock, a lot of times, especially, I don't know if you grow mulberries where you're at, but you definitely can. If you hard prune a mulberry, that shock that happens is the tree thinking, oh no, I might die. I must produce fruit. I must produce the thing that's going to go to the next generation. It can't die with me. So boom,
Right.
explodes with fruit. That's what happens in that pruning process.
Ah.
But everything in the nature is built like that to survive, dude. Like everything is designed to survive. If you try to kill a bug, dude, like everything that's alive wants to stay alive and wants to like further the next generation. Not to get on another topic, but like that's where we get a little funny with the boomers. We're like, y'all don't care about the next generation? Like that just seems so crazy to me to be old and especially have somewhat unlimited resources and not be like, yo, what can I do with this to better the next generation, to help the next generation, to leave something for somebody else? You know what I mean? But like plants do it.
It's interesting. I've been watching a lot of Antique Roadshow, favorite show, but it's interesting
You're
to
a
see.
boomer, dude.
Hell yeah! So great show. There's like two types of people. There's they bring something in. They're like, I got this Tiffany lamp or whatever, and it's like this thing is worth $45,000 to $80,000, and they go, that's incredible. This is gonna stay in the family. And then somebody else you see in their eyes. As they're telling them about the thing, they're going, I'm gonna cash out right now. You know?
You have the craziest like hobbies and
This,
things.
this is what I pay attention to when I'm watching this shit. But it's a big part of that. You're
No,
like,
it's so weird. Like in some ways, you're like a normal person. It's so weird.
no, it's like the really old people. The lady's 90 and she's like, my grandmother had this and like this is an Art Deco necklace. It's worth $130,000. He goes, that's fantastic. I'm glad it's worth something. My kids are gonna love this.
Exactly.
And I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. And some people, like younger generations or the boomer generation, they're like, you could see they're rubbing
I'm
their
going on a
hands.
cruise with this money.
Yeah, we're going to Margaritaville.
Into the villages and going on a cruise. Real quick, I know you guys got to go soon. So,
No, we got time, bro. It's not a rush.
you sure?
Yeah, I got
sure?
like close to 30 minutes.
Okay.
All right, as long as you're good. On the antique thing, just because you said it, I bought an old antique copper washing machine that I'm gonna restore, just because it's a cool antique made of full copper. I gotta have the engine sort of rebuilt. It's
How do we
electric.
know that's not a time machine, dude? The thing's all copper, but it's like it's electric though,
Yes, it's electric. Yeah,
and the entire thing's made of copper.
yeah. With the exception of the structural base is like it's old steel. It's super cool, dude. I can't wait to get it up and running. The inside stainless steel, these big stainless steel cups that spin. But the outside, the whole thing is all copper. I thought it was super cool. It's I got it for like $100. I looked it up. If you refurbish it without replacing the engine, you just get the engine fixed. $5,000. $5,000.
Oh, be careful, dude. You turn that thing on and end up in the year 1635. Don't say I didn't
I would-
warn you.
yo,
It's always about time travel with Matt. Matt always like wants to try. If you could travel through time, if you had the machine, where would you go?
I don't know, dude. That's too hard of a.
Where would you go?
Come on. All the time you put into this time travel thought, you never thought about where you would go. You never thought about where you would end up if you could.
No, the reason I'm intrigued by time travel is because those other time periods that aren't the time period that I'm in are so mysterious and so incredible. It's like, no. You
Yeah.
live in one of those time periods. Like if I was alive 200 years ago, I would be so
You
intrigued
should
to
start
be here right
asking
now.
people instead of where
200
you from.
years from now, I would be so intrigued to live right here, right now.
No. Here's what you have to do to people because you might be missing something. Instead of where are you from, when they come in, you go, when are you from?
There's not just one story, dude. Well, I do ask. I have asked people if they're time travelers. There's absolutely people who have come to the register. 100%. I said, "Are y'all time travelers?" Not just one or two. There's been a handful of people where I'm like, "Something's not right here." They have like weird stopwatches in the pocket. They
Yeah.
have a certain look. I'm like, are y'all from this time period?
And what do they say?
They laugh. And then I just
And they
keep
wink,
looking at them, and
and then
I'm like, no, where are you guys from? And then they tell some story. and then-
Tartaria.
So
There you go.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I can tell you a funny time travel dream I had though.
Oh, hold on. Wait up.
Ellis.
So I was so
go
I'm in
ahead.
this you probably don't remember the show, but it was called Quantum Leap. And so the dude would like wake up and he would be somebody else, right?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was like in some story, but he was somebody in that story that he had to like pretend to be that person. Well, I get dreams like that sometimes, right? So I'm in one of those dreams where I'm in like this. It's like a time travel posse, right? There's like a group of us, and we're time travelers, and like there's the time machine, and they're like, "All right, bro, you're up," and I'm like, "Okay, cool." And so I like go in the
Is
time
it a copper
machine,
washing machine?
the time machine, and I'm like,
It just spins you around.
I'm like looking at the buttons, and I'm like, and I like look back to see if they're still watching me, and I'm like, okay, this. And I got like I'm supposed to know what I'm doing because I'm this guy in the dream. I'm supposed to know how to push the buttons and go to the time period I'm supposed to go to, right? So I'm like, dude, I have no clue how this thing works, but I'm supposed to be this guy. Like, I better figure it out. Then a savior walks in, dude. A dude walks in. He kind of like gives me the smile of like, I know you don't know what you're doing. He hits a couple buttons and like the vibe is like he kind of winks at me, and he's like, I got you, bro. Closes the door, and then I just end up in this other time period. And so I'm looking for clues, right? I'm in this park. So I'm just kind of like looking around, and I'm like, all right, there's no airplanes. I think I remember there
Is
was
any chemtrails?
there was no chemtrail. I think I remember there was no chemtrails.
Tell your uncle about chemtrails. You want to talk about evils? Like, what's this?
And
What
then
do you
there
think
was
that is?
like a
Which at some point, if any of that, he's going to think I'm a crazy person. But trust me, if it ever comes up, I have to wait for him to ask. I will be hammering him. Like if he ever opens up the door, he's not going to know what to think
I
about
have
it.
Pennsylvania Catholic family that I've brought that to, and it's just I'm the laughing stock of the family for bringing that. So I have some experience with that one too.
My wife's entire job at one point, we were out to eat somewhere, and I was talking about chemtrails, and they're like, "You're
Oh,
crazy," and I was
jeez.
like, "You don't see them," and they're like, "We don't look up," and I'm like,
No, they
"Look
think
up."
it's the exhaust that comes off the plane.
No, they're like this, looking down, and I go, "Dog, next time you go outside, look up." And every time they see me, they go, like Tic Tacs, tic tac toe across the sky. I say,
Yeah.
that's right. See you later, stupid.
They don't
And
care. Just say it's the exhaust from the plane.
A lot of these people do. One of them listens to to NDS. They're like fans.
Poor person.
Poor person, poor lady. She's lost. But yeah, you planted a little seed. Go ahead, keep going with your dream. Where's this going?
Okay, so
Guy press some buttons, sends you to a spot.
yeah, so I'm in the next time period, and I'm in like a park, and in the park there's like a big, I don't know, in Livermore we have like a Carnegie Hall, like there's like a hall, you know, it's like this big building, and so I see that building, and then I see like the chicks like pushing the babies in the baby carriage, and the baby carriage is big, and the dress is like that big dress that goes tight on the waist, and you know what I'm talking about, like an old fat, like Mary Poppins style maybe a little bit.
50s.
They got the hat, and there's like the pushing. And I'm like, okay, and there's no airplanes. I'm like, all right, I'm in the past. Cool. And then I start looking at the building, and the structure of the building, like right where the lady's pushing it, it's like there's no other like so-called technology anywhere. But I'm looking at this building, and I'm going, no, there's no way this is from the past, dude. Like there's a 0% chance this is from the past. I'm like, where am I? And then boom, I woke up. So I don't know. I just think time periods are weird.
Well, here's it's funny we got here, but the time travel thing, like if I could, I would really love to go back to maybe just before when Jesus was around. In part, I'll explain this. I have this sort of, researching some of this stuff, looking at it, and even bringing it up to today with the chemtrails and everything else. I'm gonna put this all together in a second. In the past, there's all these stories, especially even in the Bible when we were talking about Nephilim earlier, where they sinned against man and beast. And to me, that sounds like genetic manipulations and things like that. And then you see depictions of things. There's even stories in the Bible of the lion-headed men that they brought in to serve in the army, and Egyptian things with men with eagle heads. And you know what I'm saying, right? Like there's all these depictions of the past where there's a belief that, back then, the fallen, the Nephilim, the giants, they were using the technology they had available to genetically manipulate human beings. They sinned against men and beast, right? And then we fast forward to like today. I would like to go back to see if that was actually real, because when we fast forward to today, nothing new under the sun. What do we see now? Like Elon Musk trying to bring back a baby woolly mammoth or a miniature one to have as like a pet. The manipulation of the skies, the genetic elements of like these mRNA shots that fuck with your genetics and your RNA, DNA. There's such a vast array of what I would label and categorize as sinning against man and beast. And I think on some level, some people have heard stories about, them trying to make chimeric creatures or super soldiers or any variation of changing genetics. And so I see it from back then. Maybe it's not as well pronounced today, but I see a mimic of it. And I think to myself, like, aren't we experiencing it again now? Maybe just not being able to recognize it for what we thought it might have been or what it could be. And also the advent of AI, like, wanting to incorporate robotics into the body, right? Like to make people walk. It all sounds like a good idea. Put a chip in your head. Well, that's a genetic manipulation. Maybe you're not supposed to have a chip in your head. Do you ever think about, like that's possible? In my head, my theory, the thing that I've been working through is that like I think that the reason why I'd want to go back to see if it was real, because it all kind of ties in. I think we're seeing a version of it today. Does that make any sense to you guys?
Sure. And if ultimately we have a 6,000 year account of the descendants of Adam, that's what I think we have. It looks like clearly something was happening before what we have with Adam. Something was happening. In the beginning was God, right? So something definitely was happening before where our story picks up.
Yeah, but I think a big problem with going back and checking out like pre-Diluvian stuff means you're gonna die in the flood. So that's like a brutal time. Although, yeah, very curious, but like I feel like you go there, you're not getting out of it.
But I'm saying that this manipulation, to your point, is like it does seem like it's probably consistent in all the time periods, because Jesus died for the descendants of Adam. So you start tinkering with man and you put a chip in his head, or you make him a lion-like man of Moab, or any of these other things you're alluding to where they're tampering with the DNA, with the genetics. Like, when does it get to a point where a human has made themselves something other than a descendant of Adam now? They've tinkered with themselves and hybridized themselves in such a way that they're no longer up for salvation. I don't know. But
I mean, even to just for another small point is that even the pharmaceuticals, they will be deceived by Formica, right? Like right now in city water, there's pharmaceuticals. It's funny because my uncle, the same one I was talking about, the very last time I had a conversation with him, the blank stare that I said when I said, don't drink city water because there's pharmaceuticals in it, because they recycle sewage water into your drinking water. They say they purify it. And so when they do that, the stuff that they can't get out is pharmaceuticals and stuff on that level. It's like, so it's sort of like even widespread. You might not even know the pharmaceuticals that are coming back from. I thought the camera went out for a second.
No, stood in front of it. That's fine.
Okay. Even the pharmaceuticals are a manipulation, right? Like it's changing the way you're thinking. It's changing the way you're acting. So I see this stuff now, and just, to put a bow on it, it's like that's why I think I would like to. I think that there's a secular thing, and I think we're coming across it again today, maybe some variation of it, and it makes me wonder, is there a possibility of another, not flood, obviously, because he said he wouldn't do that again, but something else to clean the slate, right? Because yeah.
Yeah, he says that. He says that, last time it was water, but this time it's going to be fire.
Might be lightning.
So where would you go in the time machine, dude?
I wouldn't go to any like antediluvian stuff. That doesn't sound like fun. Assuming I could take the time machine with me, but also you might get murked out there, dude. Like,
yeah,
I firmly believe that the times of Noah was crazy. There was people walking around, and there was probably open abominations walking around as well. Like, again, if Alberino's anywhere close with his thesis about this idea and possibly like Atlantis happening, you have Nephilim giant kings and then their creations and so on and so forth. And the people that are around are all probably trying to become Gibborim in some way. Everyone's jacked up. I ain't walking around. Like, I'm not going to New York either unless I really have to. So shout out to your boy and the fluoridated water that's up there. That's probably why you can't reach him. It's there's a calcification that happens. Happened to me, I guess, but I broke out of it for somehow. I wouldn't
It's
go.
too hard to pick, dude. There's too many rad things. Dude.
Yeah, right.
Usually it'd be like the life of Jesus. You say that, it's like, yeah, but like which story?
Yeah, dude, that's the best time. You go to the birth of Jesus and you make sure that you're like a farmer in that field. And maybe you can even go see Jesus like after he's born, but like when the angels are singing because he's born and all the shepherds are in the field looking at that must have been really really cool. And then you could hang out for the next 33 years or so. I would try to get out of there before the crucifixion because that sucks. But you hang out and just be like watch him do stuff. And that's the thing too. Like if you're a time traveler going back in Jesus' time, like he'd probably be like, you're not supposed to be here, but watch this, like.
Yeah, but don't you ever think that like you can like romanticize about another time period or another place? Maybe you go on vacation, you're like, oh, and in your mind you start to say, oh, if I lived here, my life would be so good. Like, look at this. Or if you're just thinking of another time period.
There's no running water.
No, maybe not that time period, but I'm just saying like whatever, some wonderful time period, some wonderful place. And because I remember like daydreaming like that, and I was like, why don't I just do that in my life? Like,
okay, this is when I'd go back. I'd go back to when Toy Story 1 was dropped, and in that time period, I think that's. Pay attention. Okay, that's like 97.
Watches this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, you were a baby back
I'd go
then,
there.
I forgot.
I'd watch Toy Story again, and then I'd buy Bitcoin. I buy as much Bitcoin as possible, and that's like I don't know. That's like a monetary gain. That's a really low level thing. That's a low level.
No, that's your thing,
move.
man. You make a lot of money. I get it.
No, but like, wouldn't you?
No.
Wouldn't you do that?
Of all the
Here,
things.
when I picture time travel, I don't picture like just a stay, like like you're because I don't know if it's like here you can pick where you want to go, but you're staying there. I'm not going back to antediluvian then. I picture it more along the lines of being able to jump back out because it's like I'm not going to that chaos just to satisfy curiosity, knowing that anything is possible back then.
Can you bring anything with you, or is this just a viewing? You're just viewing.
Yeah. I would need to know specifics first, but I mean, like if it was like you're permanently staying, I'm not going there.
Yeah.
I mean, the Wild West looks enticing too.
No, well, that's crazy. You're gonna get killed out there,
You're crazy, dude. The gold rush. Can you imagine how wild people? Those were like the most adventurous people. 1849 in Cali. They're just going for it. Beautiful territory. They're just living in the woods.
Getting killed. I saw on Antique Roadshow a guy had a vest, and it's a vest that goes underneath his vest, and it had a bunch of little pockets for all the gold that he put in it because they had to hide it because they were getting robbed left and right. I'm not going that way. That's crazy. No. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I don't know that New York City's any better than that now. I'm sure you need hidden pockets at this point, when you go down the street. Who the fuck knows? I mean, like I tell the stories. I grew up in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was not what I don't think it has the label of like the New York City thing because New York City's so big and a lot of things are more widespread. But I'm telling you, when I grew up there in the 80s and 90s when I was young, I mean, because I was in the streets when I was small, like pre-teen, I was in the streets doing crazy shit. And it was wide open back then where, this is what I mean about I should be dead. You would get snatched off the street. There weren't cameras, right? You would get snatched off the street, drug in an alleyway. Maybe they find you in the morning. Maybe somebody takes mercy and they just like kick your teeth in while they're robbing you and you don't die. But this shit happened all the time. It was like, you think about Wild West. It's like, this is what I mean when I was trying to explain earlier about seeing the evil that people will do to just get a thing, a material thing. And I'm telling you, I've been there, groups of people. If you're not from here and I see you or somebody in the crew sees you, the question is, who do you know? And it better be the right fucking answer or that's your ass. Because if you don't know somebody that we know, then you're a victim. And I'm not saying that, I'm just saying like that's the case. So, like I've seen it. It's not that like even the Wild West was that so much different where they had to hide their gold in their pockets. It was the same in the 80s, man. Like you better know the right person if you're walking through the wrong neighborhood because you might not make it out. I seen a guy, young dude, tough guy. He thinks he's a tough guy, about to go into the military, walk into the cemetery with a whole group of 20-something kids in there drinking. Mind you, this cemetery is not a small cemetery. It's massive. Thought he was a tough guy. Came back, you guys gangsters. They put half a red brick right through his mouth, wound up like it was like a baseball pitch right through his mouth. It made the craziest noise I've ever heard in my life. I thought he was dead.
Jeez.
And he was like a day away from going into the Marines. I only found this out because the guy's uncle came down to talk to us. We were kind of notorious. It was a very big group of younger people that used to run the street as far as a gang. And he came down and he said, I'm here to apologize. He was like, he stepped way out of line. He walked right up to you guys and talked shit. He's in the hospital. They don't even know if he's going to have a military career. All I'm asking is that it dies there. We were like, yeah, we're dead, like it's over. But like, this is what I mean about like, it was madness in the city when I was younger. It was chaos, and it wasn't anything other than like pure evil. And that's what I could get into so many crazy stories. Most people don't believe half the things I have to say as far as stories, but I don't know that the Wild West or any other point in time is so much worse than now. I think it's just an area that changed the difference.
Yeah, the patterns don't change. Like the players and the
listen,
geographic location
The Wild
changes.
West, though. All right, so at least in this time
That's
period.
a wild story, bro.
Yeah, but in this time period, you're talking about somebody could still, at the very least, have gone to jail. There is like a law and there is a police force. So there is like some.
It's not all out anarchy.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
West,
Yeah.
that did not exist. There's not really much of that going on. Although I guess they had like a sheriff, but like for the most part, they didn't care. Like you're on your own. In this society still, like you guys were criminals. You're on the fringes of society doing criminal stuff, but it's still criminal. So but there is something.
Fair point.
There's something nice about that zone too. Like growing up in the 90s where there were no cell phones. You
Right.
tell your parents you're going out and they say come back at this time, and then you do. You go to your friend's house and you knock on the door, you yell at him from the window and he comes down or whatever. I like the movies that take place in that time period, maybe because I grew up in it, or maybe because there is a level of convenience, like much better than the Wild West. Like there's still like all these nice conveniences that you had in the 90s. There's even TV. There's internet to some capacity. But there's not flock cameras,
Right.
I got pulled over by a damn camera. The guy knew everything about me before he even came up to me. It was insane. And I'm like, I don't want to live like that. But then on the other hand, I could go, in the 90s and you could do like a mass murder and won't be able to track you or track your vehicle. That's cool. But you know what I mean? It's like, it's cool if you want to live it in a cool way. So there are trade-offs. But I like that time period, especially for movies, because plot devices like, I don't know, somebody's going over to someone's house and they know, like, let's say somebody knows, oh, Stax is going to Matt's house. Oh, man, I better call Matt. It's like, nah, that doesn't exist. If you do, Matt better be by his landline.
Not
you're
only
never going to
that,
find him.
Yeah, that was crazy. It's like you would call a chick's house. The dad might answer.
Dad might answer.
Yeah.
It sucks, but it's a lot of fun. And then think about that for your daughter too, right? Like you would want that now in a way. When she gets older, she's going to have a phone. There's no way around that. And who the hell knows?
You know
what
what's
goes
wild
on?
about that? Jess got really convicted recently about like watching Instagram. She just ended up getting rid of it, but she was like watching Instagram, and so much of the stuff on it was like the glory of the 90s days and how much simpler her life was. And she ultimately was like, I can make my life this simple right now. Like it's not simple because I'm scrolling on my phone. I'm getting rid of this and I'm going to go enjoy it outside. I'm going to go pick mulberries. I'm going to go pick loquats. I'm going to go pick peaches. I'm going to make jam. I'm going to make the family dinner. I'm going to get off of these devices and I'm going to enjoy that way of life, even if it's today. That was like that. I love that.
You can do that.
I see what you're saying, that there's cameras and stuff there, and there's just society is pushing in on you.
Not just that. So like, I think where we live in Florida, you could do that in a way. Where I used to live in New York, I wish your co-host was here because I shit all over him. But where we used to live, I looked at my kids and, they were 2 and 4 at the time before we moved. And I'm like, there's no future here for you. Because what I just described, that like technocracy, that is the norm. And you're living in a jungle, a concrete jungle of people that are all partaking in it. There's no option otherwise, unless you go to the outskirts. Like you're in Pennsylvania, you have your own food forest. I have my own land over here. And it's kind of like your kids you have to raise them right.
Top Grows no food stacks. Just by the way, go ahead. Sorry, I mean
Top Grows podcast. You're welcome. But you gotta raise them. You should come to my house. Maybe that's how you can pay me.
I brought you banana trees
You
already.
did?
Dude. Yeah,
I saw them. I'm gonna plant them.
Definitely plant them, dude.
I'm gonna
Plant them.
I'm horrible at it, but anyway, there is a chance that you can raise your kids right here, and then your kids could choose this. In New York City, there is no chance of raising them outside of the system because they are in it so much, you know. And it's like it's tragic, and it's like there's nothing here for you except for modern insanity. And I don't know what to do about it besides withdraw from society. But as we withdraw, I feel like it'll catch up to us here eventually. Like over here, we'll
You know what's wild is like that's where we drove from California to Pennsylvania when I was a kid one time. And I just remember even back then, this probably would have been like 88, 89. And I remember being shocked at how much there was nothing in America. It was just nothing. And then you'd come into a city.
everything.
And it was just packed. There was all the exits, there was all the buildings. If it was night, there was all the lights. And you spent a half hour going like, wow, it's so busy. And then nothing for hours, maybe even a day. And then you get another city again. And it's like, wow, that was just a weird observation. I was like 8 or 9 years old. I was like, this is weird, dude. Like there's nothing. Like a majority of this country is like, there's nothing there. But then everybody just, goes into these places.
They're concentrated. They make it their own hell, and then they make it hell for like.
Yeah, but then when they pull the plug on whatever system they decide to pull first, I would guess the food system,
first,
like boom, that's giant masses of people.
But even worse, if they don't pull the plug, like, will my son be able to find a girlfriend that has like female parts? Like that's an actual concern of mine in America.
Dude, I wholeheartedly agree, especially with that part. But I'll just tell you really quick, everything you just said is sort of reminiscent of the way that like I have been doing things. I just want to make this clear. Nothing I am doing today is for me. Not like this is just part of my journey because I want to be able to, for my kids, to be able to take this and build themselves. The whole idea of me moving away from the city instantly, like I wasn't married. My wife was my girlfriend back then. I lived in a studio apartment. She said, I'm pregnant. She said, what do you want to do? I said, well, if you're talking about abortion, we're not doing that. And she was like, well, what can we do? I had nothing, Top. I mean, absolutely nothing. There's a whole longer story I'll spare you from before that, but like nothing. I just had an okay job, like the $20 an hour job, working in construction. I came out, and this is like what I think is like, God just trying to give me opportunities. And I went to a town an hour away from there and bought a house cash, like no mortgage. It's a big deal. And fixed it up. It needed to be fixed up. So I fixed it up. But I did all that because I don't want them in the city. I know what it is. We talked about this particular subject on another podcast. I don't think people are meant to live stacked on top of each other in concrete blocks. I don't think and I think it causes a psychosis. I think there's something seriously wrong with living that way. And you're right, because the further out you get, the more space there is. The power of the word no is extremely important. No, you're not going to have a cell phone so that you can dye your hair blue and pretend to be the person that you've seen. No, the answer is no. This is where, and when my daughter's 4, my other son is 6, and the other one is 12 now.
That game gets rough, dude, with the whole.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's chaos constantly. But I do all this for them, man. Like it has nothing to do with me. Like, and so
to God, man, is like the people in this generation who are going to think about the next generation and set their life up in sacrifice of their life for the good of the next generation. It just seems like that's where this is going to have to go, man.
And I'm having to learn also.
But I have to jam. I don't mean to be rude, but my wife's here and I got to.
No, it's all good. I was just going to say, I don't want to keep you long.
Okay, but maybe we can hang next time I come to PA for deer season in November. Maybe we can hang or something, bro.
Hell yeah.
All right, bro. Thanks for having me on, man.
Thanks for being on, dude. I appreciate it.
All right, brother. Do your thing. I just got to jam.
Okay. All right. Get out of here.
All right. Top, do you got to go soon? I just had what?
Are you ready?
I have a few more minutes. We could do like another 10, 15.
Okay, cool. All I wanted to say is that just to touch on the thing that I was just saying, that I don't do any of this stuff for myself. It's extremely important that I always try to say that is like, don't say no. The answer that Owen Benjamin, I always quote this, the real N word is no. So the ability to be able to say no means that there might be consequences with it. You may not be able to do certain things. We experienced this during COVID, where like if you tell them no, I'm not wearing a mask, you can't go in the store. You better be able to feed yourself, right? You say no to certain things because there's a system that's in place primarily there to control you. That's what the flock cameras are. That's what the cell phones are. There's a manipulation and a control mechanism that's happening constantly. But the ability to say no to it means that you have to do things for yourself. You can't just go buy them, or you can't buy your way out of it, or you have to do the work, in my view, right? Like that's the only answer, is that like that we have to do the work to stay away from it. I think the Amish kind of have it down. They don't have to pay taxes. They don't deal with energy. If the power goes out, doesn't affect them at all. And I'm telling you, if this is for everybody listening, because you're here, we have a pretty big audience. I work for a power company, power distribution. I also worked in powerhouses where they generate the power. I know the ins and the outs of it. The power grid is extremely fragile. Whatever you're imagining, it's worse. So have a backup plan if energy is important to you. A generator, something, solar, whatever it is that you can do, you have that, because that's the other part of saying no, that you never know what it can lead to as far as like what they're willing to cut you off of, right? Or what you might have the ability to pay for, because the other thing is the energy prices are going up. Are you making enough money if it gets absorbent, right? Like it's just unobtainable. You can't keep the lights on at certain times because it costs so much. That's a reality for some poor people, that like I have to go to people's houses at times, and like they're like, we don't use that much power and my bill is $500, right? This is a single person home. So you know what I'm saying? I say all that to point out, because again, like we talked about in the beginning of the show, somehow it always comes back to self-sufficiency. I see that as the key. I see that as the way to try to alleviate some of the bullshit that's associated with the problems that we face as a society. You have to be able to say no, but when you say no, you also have to be able to supplement whatever that is that they're willing to take from you, whatever that might be. Have a backup plan for power. I say this all the time. You have no idea how fragile it is and how easy it is to take it down. And there is no switch. There is no switch to just turn it back on. Sometimes they can do repairs, but if it's something really big, you need power to generate power. That's why there's diesel gas generators at substations, because you can't just turn it back on. I'm saying that because I always bring it back to self-sufficiency. I always bring it back to the idea that if you can't grow your own food and you can't take care of yourself, if you don't have the knowledge, if you depend on the government or the system to survive, it will be used against you.
Yeah, man. I know he's like, Matt busts my balls for it too, but I'm like, hey, Matt, it's not an excuse. Like I've grown some stuff, but I am so focused on the things that I'm doing now and the things that I'm building. And I'm like, I have to build something's just like, yo, you have to build this.
Mm-hmm.
So all of my attention has been, and also homeschooling my kids and, taking care of them, because I guess technically a stay-at-home dad. Like I work here a couple hours, but then after that, boom, I'm right back with them and I'm doing stuff with them. And it's like, to get outside and really tend to a farm, I'm like, I don't have the time between all the stuff I'm doing, but I'm like, I know I have to make the time. That's an interesting conversation too. Is like wherever you're putting your attention to, it's like, how much attention do I want to put to a thing? Because I know when I put my attention to it, it'll grow, but what's going to bear the most fruit for me? And I don't know why, for some reason I've chosen this stupid thing that I'm doing now to bear actual fruit, and it does, but it's not actual fruit. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. But let me just add this, because it's worth saying. Whatever way God is pushing you, that's the way you should obviously go. Now, the other side to this is what I frequently try to reiterate, especially with certain people. Like Drew, for example, wants to be one of the people that he wants to move away from the city. That dude is trapped beyond anything I can even imagine. I don't know that he's ever going to be able to get out of New York City. I say that because, like, if you find yourself in a spot where you're not capable, know somebody that is. Like you have Matt that's not far from you. There's always that fallback where community is the biggest resource no matter what. Like people are the resource. So like even if you're not the guy with the farm, You friends with the guy with the farm? You're going to be able to trade or do things to help each other because we do that now anyway, right? Like we all do favors for our friends anyway. We all help each other out. Think Matt's going to like, if the power would go out, you think Matt's not going to help or somebody like that might not help. That's the thing is to have the community. And if it's broken up where, this person does this and that person does that, you're just that much stronger. Not everybody has to be that guy, but it's good to at least know the guy.
Yeah, no, that's good advice too. But there's still a certain inadequacy where I'm like, I really can't grow anything. I've tried, I suck at it. But it's just like one of the things I can't. I've tried so many times, and I'm like, yeah, I just couldn't. It even got to the point where my chickens, I gave away my birds because I got some guineas. I had like a really nice bird farm, like collection. There was a lot of them. They're giving me eggs and stuff, and then I got guineas, and the guineas started calling in predators, and then there was like a
Hmm.
bear attack that killed a pig somewhere that called in more predators, and now I'm just getting the birds picked off one by one, and I'm here, or I am doing, like, most people don't know how much back end work comes with like a podcast. I'm glad that you're hosting this one because I don't have as much work to do after, but it's like, yeah, it's like, I don't know, an hour, 30 minutes beforehand, and I got to get here, and then an hour and a half after processing and making sure everything is going. Most of the time we do it. So now it's a full work day. It's like most, I'm sure, no excuses. You're working, but then I'm also homeschooling. So I'm like, okay, where's my time? Where's my time going? What's the most efficient thing? And it got to a point where even my birds are getting killed one by one. I'm like, I had to give them to the neighbors because I'm like, if I keep them here, I don't have the time to post up with my gun and wait for the fox to come, and
I
he's
can, oh God, I can relate to that so much. So I do a 9 to 5 and I farm and we homeschool and I have no time for anything else. I can't even imagine trying to squeeze in what you do on a regular basis as well. Trust me, I get it. Because the other part of that, which I'm really glad you brought up, and we can kind of end on this because I don't want to keep you too long, but there is an entire frame of knowledge that has been lost to modern man that is exactly what you're describing as far as like being able to grow a thing. A lot of people picture it as like you just stick a seed in the ground and you're good to go.
no.
There's so much to it. And then even managing animals and predators and understanding why having a bird that screams all the time, like a guinea, why that can be a pain in the ass. Because we had them for a short time too. Something interesting about guineas, real quick, is that we had one that was killed by a predator. 2 other ones died from depression. They just sat there and died. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah,
There
I
is
had
such a
turkeys that
wide,
happened to.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's such a wide range of knowledge that like we have lost because of the modern conveniences. Like that we just have no idea how to do. And I said this in the past, it's like, babes in the woods. If we have to go to the system, the government, whatever you want to call it, in order to be fed and cared for, we can't say no. We can't say no to it because you don't have an alternative. And there's all these people all the time, they want to gun up and go take over the government. I'm like, you have no idea what that means. You have no idea the ramifications of what happens next. You're not thinking past the moment that you're in. There's an entire ecosystem attached to it that you're dependent on. You have no idea in 3 days when the trucks stop running because there's no more diesel, what happens next. You don't know that. But I mean, I say that because there is an entire, one example, I'll let you go. We have a lot of poison ivy that grows around here. There's another plant that often grows not too far from poison ivy called a jewelweed. These jewelweeds, there's different names for them around here. It's called a jewelweed. They will negate the poison from the leaves of the poison ivy if you smash it up and put it on where you think the affected area is. So few people know that. And it's just an example that you don't have to run to the store to go get the fix for it if you get poison ivy. There's so much of that we have lost. And that's why we can't take care of ourselves unless we at least try to regain some of that knowledge. And a lot of it for me is through trial and error. I'm going to fail over and over and over, and I'm going to learn from it, and I'm going to try to reapply it because the whole idea is that I'm not doing this for myself. I'm gaining knowledge. I'm building something so that my kids have a greater starting point than I did. And then I can hand it to them. They'll know more, they'll be able to do more, and they'll be able to go through their trials to figure out the best way to do what they can with what they have. And I really appreciate you coming on, dude. You have no idea what this means to me. It's a big deal. I'm really glad you're here.
Oh yeah, dude. I like to come back and discuss some more stuff. But yeah, like you said, that's the game that I think, and I figuring out how to do it the best is gonna be the trick. My dad, post office worker. Before that, his mom was on welfare. You know,
Mm.
just a single mom from Puerto Rico, didn't even speak English. He got a job. He was able to have a house for me growing up, and now I'm able to do more. So there's like steps on the ladder that come along with this process that we're doing, and it's just it's a constant reevaluation of like, am I doing more? Am I making that step? Also, is this step a superficial step? Is this just like a stupid thing? What am I giving to my kids? What am I passing down? Is it a garden? Am I passing them down a house? Is it money? Does this stuff matter? I don't know. I'm doing my best, but I'm gonna leave them something. I don't know what it is, but they'll get something. Hopefully they like it. I just bought a new guitar, so maybe he'll like that guitar a couple of years.
Well, as somebody that grew up without a decent father, if that's all that you would leave them, they'd be way better off for whatever it's worth. I know you're going to do way more than that, but if just having a decent childhood and a good father is way more than some kids have the opportunity to have, that alone can be enough to make the next generation better than the last.
Well,
Um,
I'll say I think the most important thing here, we'll bring it in with this, but it's like I could leave them a lot of things, and I'm always thinking about the things because it'll help make their life easier, and I also want them when they have kids and they're adults, like we have the property, and there's my parents have a house on my property and I have a house, and I'm like, well, there's two houses here for my two kids, and it's like they have a step up. If we can maintain and keep this,
yes.
they are good to go. But
Yep.
what does all that matter? What does a man gain if you lose your soul, right? So it's like, what are we
Exactly.
actually leaving? What am I leaving them behind? And I'm hoping, like, maybe they do watch some Tower Gang stuff and they go, damn, dad was like kind of retarded. And then maybe they watch NDS stuff and they go, damn, dad was kind of retarded still. And then maybe they watch some straight Bible stuff and they go, hey, that actually mattered a little bit. What was dad talking about this whole time? What was he trying to tell us when he was raising us? What were the things that mattered to him? And yeah, if I don't know, I'm hoping like that this digital record that we're leaving behind, there's going to be a lot of stuff, but you could watch it and you can sort of know who I am, and maybe my kids will watch that later on, and then they can look back, not just how I live with them, but like also like, yeah, this thing matters. I'm going to look a little more into it. Like Matt's grandfather left him a Bible, and that's the reason he's here now. Nobody
Hmm.
else wanted it. So like that's a thing that mattered, and that's like cheap. This is like $12. How much does this thing cost? But that's what you got, and that's what sticks with you, and that's what matters and grows you into what you are and what you have and the things you can do today. And yeah, so full circle is like all that other stuff that we talk about. It's fun. It's mysterious. It's sexy. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But yeah, it does. I guess it doesn't really matter. It's just interesting stuff. The thing that does matter, I'm trying to present to people now. So I'm hoping that they see it.
Yeah, well, they will. They will. I'm telling you from an outside observer, they will. And it's funny the parallels, the synchronicities between what you're saying. In part, the reason why I started recording the progress on my property was so that my kids could see it later because they were all so young when it started, so that they had an idea. And in part, also, some of these conversations like you and I are having, if I'm dead and gone or whatever the case may be, they can go back. What would dad do? What would dad say? How did he, what was he talking about? This is sort of just for them, like you said, that digital catalog. It's funny you said that because it's some of the same reasons why I do it as well. Um, my brother in Christ, Top Lobster, really appreciate you coming on. Time is a thing that is extremely important, and I really appreciate you spending it with me. Anything you want to add? Uh, go to toplobster.com. That's
Oh
a
no,
they
no
have all
plugs,
kinds of
man.
merch.
No plugs, no plugs. I'd like to. We'll come back and hang out. Maybe we'll bring the whole crew in. Yeah, we do it again. This was fun. I had fun
Yeah,
doing this with you. Thank you.
yeah. Anytime you want, dude, I will make myself available. All right, you guys, like, share, subscribe. All that good stuff. That was the shit show.
Peace.
Perfect.